the Weekly Feed. I'm Kyle Meredith, and this is Dean Wareham, and it's great to see you.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. My voice is a little low from this chest infection. I'm trying to
Good
get
posture?
a doctor.
Yeah.
Posture.
And we should say this is the beautiful Tennessee Theater here in Knoxville. This place is gorgeous.
It's not a bad little club.
Yeah, built in 1929. We
right?
just found out. Yeah, and probably refurbished sometime recently.
Built in 29. Wow.
I was
that's
thinking if someone were just surprisingly transported here in the time machine and just arrived right now, other than the lights, it wouldn't be.
That's true.
It's like this. It still looks like it would.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Well, let's talk about you, because that's why we're here right now. You've got the solo record out, finally.
Finally.
And that's the popular question, right?
That's true.
And maybe we shouldn't say why the solo record now, but why wasn't there ever a solo record before this? It isn't so much what happened now, but you've had all these chances. And sure, you've been in bands, and we can do the name check, the roll call with Galaxie 500 and Luna and Dean Britta, but now here you are. So it happened now, but why didn't it ever happen before?
Why now is always the question, really.
And I'm trying to change that a little bit.
No, it's okay, because when I wrote a book, it was like, why now? I remember doing an interview, and I was like, I should have prepared for that. Yeah. I should know.
Because it's what you do next. That's why it is. It's what you do next.
Yeah. Well, I was busy with the bands for a long, long time, and I didn't really feel a need to do a solo album because I was just so identified with both Galaxie 500 and with Luna. I did start to make a solo album in about 2001 or 2002 after I think it had been 6 Luna albums in a row, and I was like, I'll make a solo. But then it turned into a Dean and Britta album instead, and that was kind of fun.
Which we all love.
I think often the record you make is a reaction of what you've just been doing. So after making a couple of Dean and Britta albums, which are covers and duets, kind of sort of there's only so far you can take that maybe until it's kind of a formula, and I wanted to do something more male, maybe more ROCK a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's a beautiful record. You seem to have that habit of making these beautiful records.
Oh, thank you.
And I guess it's a bit different because you've always had that. There's one side of you that's the art side,
right?
And there's one side of you that's the pop side, and it's come out in your various projects. But this seems like the first time where you can hear all of that in one. Like there was no real compromising. You have some of those artists. Like I think of Beck. Beck seems to be a guy who can only make a slow record or a trippy record.
Right.
He has figured out, but this seems like your version of, you've put it all together finally.
Well, I hope you're right. This is probably more, I feel like this is more, a couple of songs anyway, more poppy than anything. Like, I mean, that's the single Dancer Disappears.
Yeah.
When I listen to that. When we were recording that song, our drummer would tell me that it sounded like Springsteen doing Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
I'm not sure that's probably the direction you were going.
Don't say that.
Although he's made a lot of money off that version.
Santa Claus is coming to town.
Yeah, it could be you.
Maybe a little.
Well, I guess the difference is, though, and what I'm curious about with this record, too, is for your entire career up to this point, it's been a collaboration, whether it's been in a band or with Britta.
Right.
This time you had Jim James produce it, and I would feel like that's still a collaboration.
Yes, it's true. It is. It is still a collaboration. So it's not like I'm not the kind of person who goes into the studio and tells people like, you play this and you do this, and I've got every little part written out. I really depend on the musicians around me because I'm not that trained. But Jim really pulled some of these songs to pieces. Yeah. Some of them that were like soft, quiet, acoustic things, he turned into what he called bangers.
You got the bringing it down. So I mean, it seems like at some point you could have just said, "We're a band. This is Dean and Jim."
That's true.
Dean and Jimma, or whatever it is. It could have. But I mean, he's not even. I mean, we don't know him as a producer, so it almost seems like he would be having to get his feet. His producing feet at the same time that he's working with you.
I guess he's just starting to get into that, but he's a whiz in the studio, and he's a good producer because he plays an instrument. He plays several instruments. He plays guitars and keyboards, so he's able to talk to.
And he claims sax.
Musicians. I've seen him with that toy saxophone on stage. The one sound that's on this record and is on his record too, which is the Mellotron sax, which is you hear on Holding Pattern. because sax can be very dangerous. We all know about saxophone crimes committed on
Sexy sax man.
But the mellotron, it forces you to play the saxophone with just a finger or two. It's just a note that you can't bend it. You can't go. It's a cool sound.
It's not going to be the opening credits of Saturday Night Live.
No.
Circa '87. It's
whether you like My Morning Jacket or not, those records are just the productions is amazing on all.
It always sounds great.
Yeah.
And I guess I can hear.
I do like them.
Yeah, a bit of the similarities between his solo record and the sound-wise.
Yes,
and
just a couple of sounds, I think, because they
kind of bleeds in there. Yeah. Well, you brought up your bio, and I want to hear about that too. So that was '07 or whatever, and I guess it's because of how it stacked out. Your bio came out then, and now is your solo record.
Right.
The bio is all about the past. That's usually. Do you have to do that to do this? Is that what it's like? Is because, well, if I write this and I have to come to terms with my past, and I have to talk about my past, and once it's out of the way, I can stop it and be myself.
Right.
Was there ever that moment where that was even a thing?
No, but I don't know. I guess I feel like comfortable with where I am right now. It feels good. The bio, I don't even know if I ever would have written that book if someone hadn't emailed me from Penguin. And I guess I'd taken notes. I was thinking about it, but I got this email from this guy, the senior editor at Penguin, saying, "Have you ever thought about writing a book?" And I was like, "Well," I sent him a couple of chapters of tour diaries, and he's like, "This is great." And then a week later, there was a contract, and it was all.
And suddenly
it was all happening.
You're bound. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, and I guess it's when I think of artists because you are tied to certain names. You're tied to certain bands. It's the way we know you. When someone talks about you in a review, they're always going to say Galaxie 500.
Yeah.
it's always going to be there.
That's fine. I mean, that's
sure. I mean, it's part of you, and I'm not knocking that or one way or another. But it almost seems like that. I don't know. For you seem like a person that's always trying to do something. You're always trying to do something else, but that's always kind of tugging you. So like writing that bio almost sets you free. Or I would like to believe that's a nice romantic way of looking at of music and everything.
I guess it did set me free because it annoyed so many people.
Did it?
No.
Did you get those phone calls like, "That's not how that happened. That's not right"?
I got a couple of those. Somebody told me Neil Strauss, who used to write for the Times, used to write. He wrote a couple books, and he said, "You know where the anger is going to come from? It's not going to be from like your ex-wife or bandmates or something. It's going to be just some little sentence about someone that you barely mention, and they're going to get furious at you." And that is true. There's a couple of people like, "How dare you?" And it's just like. If you read the book, I make fun of myself too.
Yeah. There's been some really great bios. I mean, it almost seemed like for a minute everybody does a bio. Everybody does bios. Where's that point? Everybody does a bio.
Yeah, it's true.
There's been some really creative ones that come out with yours. Like I'm surprised Mike Doty didn't get killed for all the things he said in his bio.
I haven't read his.
It's kind of like everything's bad.
Right.
It's like if you're going to go that direction, just go all the way.
Right.
Just kill them all. It's an interesting way of doing it.
There's still time.
Well, I guess. You don't have to have much career left after this, I suppose.
But yeah, I think I didn't really. When I was writing the book, I just wrote it for myself. I was just trying to put everything in there and not sugarcoat anything. And I think it was only after it got sent off to the publisher I was like, "Oh, gee, people are going to read this."
And then they read into it.
Yes, it's true.
I mean, you've got a passionate fan base. It's a cult fan base.
Right.
You've got that. Those people are a bit more passionate than, say, a Coldplay fan, or something like that. But I mean, we're not going to be talking about your unconscious coupling divorce all over the web.
Poor Chris and Gwyneth.
But they read into that stuff. There's I gotta hear. There's lyrics on your record. I'm gonna bring
people
one
read
up.
into the lyrics too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's. It's on "Love Is Not a Roof Against the Rain" when you say, "What have I done with my life?" I mean, how can we not read into that? Like, you say poor Chris, and we say, "Poor Dean, what's going on here? Should we be worried about
what
Dean?
Have I done with my life?
What have I done?" And then you're talking about being stuck in a holding pattern.
And then
right
I say,
after
"What
that.
have I done with the keys?" Which I borrowed from someone's poem, I think. So it's supposed to be comical, really.
Yeah.
But I was kind of walking the line in that song. Does this come across as too serious or not? Because you try to be. One tries to be introspective without whining.
Sure.
And that's the line that I try to walk, and because I don't like it when people cross that line.
So you don't want to be Morrissey.
No.
Exactly.
He can be funny too.
We love Morrissey.
Yes.
Great sense of humor, but he's the king whiner. We love.
I like a lot of his pronouncements, except when he compares meat eaters to Nazis, and then he's lost me.
Have you read his book?
In fact, the most famous Nazi was a vegetarian.
That's true.
Yes.
Wow. I wonder if anybody's done that back. Yeah, right.
I have not read his book. Have you?
No, I haven't yet. It's sitting on the bookshelf. It's thick.
Yeah, they say it's mostly dull, but I bet there's some good stuff in there.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some good stuff in there. As fans, we want to know. We want to know. But that's the thing. Like, you take a lyric like that, and for a fan, we do read into that stuff. And you, as the artist, it's that moment. How do you handle that? And do you worry about it? You're like,
do I worry about my life? Yeah.
Well, do you worry about how people are going to take your life and what they're going to do with that on their own terms? Because your life is your own life, and you can shut the door, but they're all still thinking about it. It's a weird relationship, is what I'm getting to.
Yeah. Well, again, I would go back to the book if I was going to worry about it. That would have been the time to worry, not so much with lyrics, the kind of cryptic anyway. And I feel like writing nonfiction is a lot tougher, and that takes some guts to express yourself clearly and take an opinion. Because then a lot of people get mad at you, or people judge you. But what is it? A friend of mine told me that those who know you don't judge you, and those who judge you don't know you.
Wise words. Wise learned words.
My friend George.
We'll end on film, because I know you've got the history with film scores too. I do find it interesting that a lot of bands, most bands that I've ever known, especially smaller bands, are like, well, all of our songs could fit in a movie, and that seems to be the thing. Like, I like my songs, so I it's that. But I feel like you've probably figured out the secret. All songs don't really work.
No.
Yeah.
No, that's true. That's the first thing you learn when you're scoring film, is that the film is in charge and you are not.
Yeah.
And your song might be good, but it's all a question of, does it do what the film needs to have done at that point? Does it move the story forward, or does it make it seem more exciting, or does it slow it down and make it dull? And there's a great documentary about Philip Glass, made about 5 years ago, I think, and he's scoring a film for Woody Allen. And obviously Philip Glass has done a lot of film scores, but he plays this piece of music for Woody, and Woody's like, yeah, it's a nice piece of music. We'll put it up against picture, and we'll see if it works, or maybe it won't work at all. It's just everyone goes through that.
Especially, it doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah.
Are you going to be doing more of that? That was such a nice part of your career, and it's been enjoyed a lot since. So.
I've recently moved to Los Angeles. There's a lot of musicians out there looking to do that. So,
a bit more competitive.
Britta and I have been lucky, because we got to work with Noah Baumbach on some of his films, and to do this Andy Warhol screen test project. And whenever you get a chance to work with a really good director, that's exciting. Yeah. Even if he's dead, because Warhol was not around to give us direction, but
it's probably for the better.
I think for everyone, that's true. It's not like 98% of films are not good. So if you I think actors, anyone who's involved with a good film, it's like, thank God,
you just get to be there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we could have been looking at the Squid and Well completely different,
Yeah.
It's like, the music was good, but it was a great film on top of that.
That's it. It's a good exercise anyway. Actually, so it's good to work.
Yeah. Well, we're happy that you're working, and I'm loving the new record, and hopefully this won't be the last Dean Wareham record.
No,
wherever it goes. So it won't take another 30 years or whatever to get back in there. And if it does, we'll do this interview again in 30 years, exactly the same way.
Thank you
Thank you so much.